Hey guys, Tara here. To be clear, I want you to know before you start watching this, before you start joining in with me here, it's breakthroughs. We're going to break through some things, okay? And so my intention is for these 7 days to help you call forth new levels of breakthrough and prosperity and abundance in your life, and to do so fast. All right. Now, I will do that by calling out some of the most common inner glass ceilings I hear in my clients every day when it comes to money and success. And these are all basically everything we're going to talk about in the next 7 days is also an inner glass ceiling that I personally had experienced and broke through. Awesome. Okay, so let me give you like a little briefing on what we're doing. I just want you to know I'm not pussyfooting around, y'all. Okay. In some of my programs, like my Life and Self Mastery program, we teach that program over a year. It's a relaxed pace. You get to learn, you get to wire some things in, you release some things. But this is an accelerator of breakthroughs, okay? And acceleration is all about alignment. The way alignment works is that you get clear and decisive and focused and decide what you're really ready for in your finances, in your career, in your life to be different. And from the moment you make that commitment, you kickstart this alchemy where everything else within you that is an inner conflict to your inner being's clear desire for financial well-being will surface. It will come up and it will either dissolve, it will dissipate, it will leave your life, or you will execute a necessary ending. So this is ultimately the trajectory into the purity of your calling and your joy. But in the meantime, it can get uncomfortable along the way when you do your alignment this way. So that's me, just like, that's your warning. If you're not up for the discomfort of seeing what needs seeing within you, hearing me say what needs saying for you to live, to see your own inner barriers and your own inner conflicts with the prosperous life you came here to live, then this series ain't for you, okay? Because it is not for the faint of heart. All right, so here's how this works. 7, 7, 7. 7 days, we're gonna do this for 7 days. This is day 1. And I'm gonna ask you to do 2 things. That's all you gotta do. 2 things, 15 minutes, 7 days. First thing is, I want you to do 7 minutes of intentional vacuuming every day. My students know that when you, in nature abhors a vacuum. You've heard of that? Nature abhors a vacuum. In nature, a vacuum sucks things into it, calls things into it. So in our lives, when we want to call things in, like more money, more success, more prosperity, more opportunities, whatever it is, we can clear space, get rid of physical junk belongings in our world, whether it's junk or just things that are broken and not fully functioning, things we haven't used, things we've outgrown, or things that have energetic ties to old limited ways of being. Get rid of that stuff. It will call things into your life. So every day for 7 days, I want you to do 7 minutes of just clutter clearing. All right. And then I also want you to show up and meet me here, either on the lives, or if you're in Life and Self Mastery, we will send you access to these videos all week. We'll send it to you every day, prompting you like we do. And you'll have access in the archives too. So you'll be able to do this work as many times as you want to, whenever you want to, in your own time. So you'll get 7 minutes a day of intentional vacuum that you initiate, and 7 minutes a day or less of alignment coaching from me here. All right, I will be here at kind of different times every day. Again, if you're registered in Life and Self Mastery, you'll get access to them all the time, to this material all the time. And if you're interested in becoming a member in Life and Self Mastery, go to soultour.com/life-and-self. Lesson number 1, our day 1 lesson, is all about breaking the spirit of fear when it comes to your abundance, your prosperity, your money, your success. Many of us are out here operating under a pervasive chronic spirit of fear and letting die what needs to die. All right, I've told my students this story about how I have these beautiful, super expensive prayer beads, a mala, that I loved for 2 years. I wore this thing almost every day, and then it broke. It shattered. Like the beads were everywhere, and it was pricey. So I emailed the company that made it, and they were like, "Oh, you can send it back. We will fix it, but look it up. When prayer beads break, it's symbolic of the end of a karmic cycle, the end of a cycle. So I want you to keep that visual with you as we go, because the number one obstacle I see between the women I coach and the wealth they desire is the pervasive paralyzing spirit of fear. And it's not what you hear. It's not so much the fear of becoming a bag lady or the fear of financial catastrophe. Some people say that, but that's really surface. I don't think that's really what it is. It's not so much the fear of success. Success is your divine inheritance. You're not really afraid of that. It's the fear of things breaking. It's the fear of obliteration. It's the fear of loneliness. Catch that principle. A major, major primary pervasive block, inner roadblock to abundance and prosperity is the fear of being alone, the fear of rejection of the tribe, which is the same thing ultimately as the fear of death. See, everyone you know, if you live in, especially if you live in the West, everyone you know bonds with everyone else over their belief in lack and limitation, right? People love to talk with each other and bond with each other about how the struggle is real and how things are so hard for them. So when people envision moving into new seasons of abundance and prosperity, the question that their inner being is being faced with is, what will happen to you if you stop participating in that? What will happen to you if you step up, create what your soul is calling you to create, and market it unapologetically in the marketplace? What will happen if you speak up for yourself and your worth, or if you simply stand in your value powerfully and unapologetically? There is a fear that people will criticize you or reject you. There's a fear that you'll end up alone. There's actually a link between that fear and the childhood, baby, infant fear that the adults around you will dislike what you're saying or doing and reject you. And you know, when you're a little baby, that's a scary fear because your survival is dependent upon the adults around you approving of you enough to care for you. And that's one reason why this fear of like actually stepping forward to do and demand and declare your value in the marketplace and create your value as in the marketplace, that's one reason why that fear can feel so bodily and immovable. That's why one reason why your inner resistance to doing the things you know deep down would absolutely move you towards shattering your inner glass ceilings feels so like overwhelming and like physical, because it's actually linked to your childhood fear of death. The fear of criticism can equal the fear of rejection of the tribe, can equal the childhood infant human fear of death. All right. And the truth is that fear is actually well-founded because to move forward and shatter those inner glass ceilings, the old you, the old ways of being must actually die. The old you that shrinks down and silences yourself, the old you that participates in your own repression must die. The universal law is that you have not because you ask not. Right? So if fear is stealing your power to even use your voice to ask, then that's where your big breakthrough might be right there. The younger you may or may not have actually had good reason to believe you'd be abandoned or left to fend for yourself if you spoke up and were as extra as you really are, you know, and did what you came here to do. And actually, there are several other collective unconscious reasons for this self-promotional paralysis, self-marketing paralysis, earning, you know, for chronic under-earning. But, and I don't have time to teach that all today, but I'll tell you this. Understanding why you do something is not the same as changing your behavior. So what I'm going to tell you now is about how to start to shift your behavior. You're under-earning, under-earning, over-delivering, struggle around your income. Let me help you start to shift things. Here's what you do to start the shift. You decide that whatever happened in your childhood that started your repression is done. You decide that you've outgrown it. You decide that you're no longer participating in your own repression. You decide that your parents were good enough, whether they actually were good or not. Like, you are here, you are seeking more, your inner being is seeking more, so they were good enough, and you stop litigating your childhood repression, even though you may occasionally along the way have to go back and mourn and grieve some stuff, all right? You decide that as of today, you are becoming your own inner nurturer and parent, and you start radically accepting your feelings and your fears when they show up, but you don't give in to the habitual, your old habits and self-shrinking behavior. You let those feelings arise, and then you investigate your inner conflicts and the personal fear stories that underlie them. And you do this investigation with radical warmth and acceptance of who you are and radical self-compassion. And so if what you find when you do this investigation is the story that money is evil, or that more money will create more work, or that more money will require you to face some old shadow behaviors that won't feel good, whatever the story is, you start doing your own practices. You start meditating. You start being your own inner nurturant parent. You start soothing yourself. You start building some practices and rituals for soothing yourself, so you can stand the discomfort that comes when you shine light into those shadows and stop running away from them. If you have the story that you find deep down there that you'll actually die if you're successful, or you'll vomit if you have to promote yourself, understand this. Yes, the old you will actually die. This will be your prosperity. If you've been living a story of lack and limitation, your prosperity will indeed be the end of the world as you know it. But it's the only way. It's the only way to give birth to the beautiful new world that your inner being knows is possible and is reaching for and chronically reaches for. Your old conversations will have to die. You will have to stop talking about how real the struggle is, period. You cannot move out of struggle and keep talking about the struggle. Your old patterns and ways of being will die. Your old conversations will die. They will have to. You'll need to get okay with turning inward. You'll need to get okay with some relationships shifting and shedding. You may need to get okay with being more solitary than you'd like to be for a while, but oh my gosh, when you do this work, you will soon become a magnet to other people in the process of awakening and actualizing just like you. So your breakthrough question for today is, what is it that you're afraid of? Are you really ready for things to be different? And what are you willing to let die so that the prosperous you, the new prosperous you, can be born? All right? And then I'll leave you with this. One of my teachers says that all of your fear is just unintegrated excitement. So the way to start integrating it, the way to cast out your fear, is to take your whole heart and wholeheartedly engage with whatever you are afraid of. So as you investigate the stories underneath your fear, engage them. If there's a fear of death under there, dive all in and learn about death. A fear of numbers, a fear of accounting, a fear of taxes, a fear of solitude, make that your study. Stop repressing it and run right into it wholeheartedly. Google it, practice it, just dive on in, shine light on those shadows, dissolve them through your wholehearted engagement. All right, guys, I will see you back here tomorrow. I love you. Keep your head up and your heart out.